Ladies, gentlemen, children of the interwebs out there, Sebastion, Envi, out Cinephile. What we have is another episode of the Adventures of Lonnie featuring Spider-Man. So let's geek about it for a scant few minutes because this episode continues the downward spiral of one Lonnie Lincoln, formerly high school football star, destined for college and the NFL. He's got a girlfriend. He's smart. He's successful. His home life is different. And now his home life is taking a turn where he had to swap places with his stupid brother to join this gang. He's got the name Tombstone. And now he's ditching his responsibilities at school, with the football team, with class, because he's got to do what he's got to do. He's got to be in this gang, do gang stuff to keep his family safe, to keep his brother safe. That's the whole thing. We see his brother take issues with that because his brother joined the gang, so he didn't have to just be known as Lonnie's younger brother. And I understand that. We all have been there where we, as young men, want the world to see us as grown men. So we say things and we do things that we think makes us grown, which they never did. And that's where Dre was coming from. And I know that, I'm cognizant of that. That still didn't stop me from wanting to slap shit out the kid for being so ungrateful towards Lonnie for doing what he had to do to keep his ass safe. You know what I mean? So they have a little, verbal sparring about that. Lonnie dips out and he ends up leading Camilla to the 110's hideout. Some shenanigans are probably going to happen with that. Something Scorpion related because we see Gargan getting a hookup from one Otto Octavius, who we find out is supplying these villains with these superpowered devices that they're using to wreak havoc on the city. We find out that Osborn is probably involved in that some kind of way. He feeds Peter this story that Octavius used to work for Oscorp, and then he left, stole his designs to kind of get back at Osborn, which probably they were working on it together, and Osborn, just being Osborn, just tried to cut him out, basically. Remains to be seen how it all plays out, but we got a little bit of Daredevil, which we knew Charlie Cox was going to be in this season. Didn't know exactly when, but we got a little bit of him in a little bit of a rooftop battle with Spider-Man, which was fun to see Daredevil basically just outsmart and outmaneuver Peter, because we saw some of his extraordinary senses at work. Saw a quippier Daredevil, which is going to be kind of interesting because it's and the fact that we had the Daredevil theme playing when he showed up, that was nice. That was a nice touch. But he was quippier. And it's funny because he's quippier in She-Hulk, he's quippier in here, but I doubt he's going to be quippy in his own show, which reportedly, is going to be even bloodier and more violent than the Netflix show, which is saying something, but we'll get to that another time. Daredevil's out there checking out Osborn, puts a bug in Peter's head that maybe Osborn's not everything who he says he is, but that's when Osborn feeds Peter the breadcrumbs to point him in the direction of Octavius. Remains to be seen how that all plays out. We have 3 seasons of this, so I'm thinking we'll get some Green Goblin teasing, down the line. The other part of this episode deals with this friends night that Peter tries to put together. And Peter, of course, friends with Nico. They're super tight. It's been just them for however long, several months. And then Peter is interjecting Harry into it without exactly running it by Nico. He's just kind of throwing her into these situations where he's not really considering her feelings on it. And Harry is trying not to be feel like a third wheel and trying not to come between Nico and Peter, which he sees immediately that there's an issue with that. He also acknowledges that he really doesn't have friends. So it's kind of awkward for part of the evening, most of the evening, because he's just this son of a billionaire influencer who's hawking, sponsored water in videos. He's just not just a regular kid, so he's finding it awkward to make friends, which makes sense. And we can also pick up on the fact that he's not too tight with his dad, which we'll see how that comes into play later on. But as the awkward night out, friends night in sort of plays, Peter has to go off, do Spider-Man things. That's when he encounters Daredevil, and Harry lets it slip that Peter is Spider-Man to Nico. Nico's kind of mad, which Nico has been standing up for like her friendship with Peter like the whole night, and then she goes into this long soliloquy about how good friends they are, and she says that she knows all his secrets and stuff, which I know in the next episode probably there's gonna be fallout from that because she left upset, understandably so. She's gonna feel some type of way because Harry was told that the secret and she wasn't, and they're supposed to be super tight, so there's gonna be some awkwardness there as she works through being mad and Peter tries to fix it, which of course he's probably going to make it worse because that's just what Peter Parker does. Tries to fix the situation and then makes it worse. That's kind of like the Parker luck, which has been a thing in this show. On the Osborn front, we see he's attends a fundraiser for Lagos. Lagos is the place that got blown up in the first part of Captain America Civil War. We know that the Sokovia Accords are a thing. We see Osborn cozying up to Thunderbolt Ross and saying, hey, I'm doing testing of this, Spider-Man thing. We'll make sure we get him registered. And, it gives him the name of Gallows, which is like his head security guy. So props on him for not giving up Peter's identity. But we see that there's some shady stuff to Osborn. Osborn's going to do some Osborn things. He's being shady and acting like Spider-Man is his thing in order to cozy up to Thunderbolt Ross. And he offers, Osborn's Oscorp's resources to help search for Captain America. So the fact that like that stuff is happening in the world at large, the Accord still being a thing, it's we can see where some of the strands are of this universe are diverging from the main like MCU universe and the events that happen as we know them. So that's a nice touch to go along with this show. Again, it's just a fun show. It had a lot going on in it. I continue to be just completely enthralled with Lonnie and his story because Lonnie seems like such a good guy. In the first step, like the first time we meet him, he's a really good guy. He's smart. He's caring for his girl, cares for Peter genuinely, cares for his family. He's just trying to do what's best for his family, and we're gonna see how that pulls him to the dark side, as it were. Totally interested in that. Again, show has heart, it has good action, it feels real. As real as a comic book show can be, but there, like I said, you feel what Lonnie's doing. You feel what his little brother is tried to do, and you understand his motives behind that. So there's just some reality to this show in the way and the motivations of the characters thus far, and their responses and reactions to certain situations. I feel it's quite authentic as authentic as a comic book show can be, because anytime you talk about a comic book show and talk about it being realistic or real, or you have to couch it within a parameter of like as real as a comic book show can be, you know what I mean? So the anti-woke dog whistler himself, Hudson Thames, the voice of Spider-Man, wasn't wrong when he said the show feels real and show feels kind of authentic to how people would react, how people of this age group and going through these things would react to it. So the dog whistler wasn't wrong there. And it's just, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. And again, a lot was crammed into this episode. I felt like the 30 some odd minutes went by quickly, and just enough of a cliffhanger to keep you wanting to go on to the next episode. For me, not just for the villain, but for Lonnie and the continued downfall of him. And just, I want to see what eventually puts him into like Tombstone. And is he going to be the super strong, like muscle bound, albino, impenetrable skin sort of Tombstone? Or is this going to be a different sort of, like, he's going to be just a regular human, but like a gangster, tough guy, sort of like Tombstone? Remains to be seen how it all plays out, but I'm here for it. But anyway, those are my thoughts on it, scattered as they often are. What do you guys out there think? Let me know in the comments below. Follow me on social media. Still have another couple episodes to go in this batch, along with 2 episodes from the previous batch. I know, I gotta get to them. But anyway, till next time, fuck Nazis, and let us geek.